"So this is how white people have children. Can I try as well?" asked the innocent Apache woman. In the midst of this quiet beauty, Nayeli, an Apache woman of sharp curiosity and brave heart, crouched atop a small ridge. Her dark eyes scanned the horizon, not in fear but in wonder. Something had appeared in the distance, unlike anything she had ever seen. It shimmered like silver in the fading sunlight, a structure of strange angles and glowing panels, and it moved with a grace that no horse or wind could imitate. Nayeli had always been taught to respect the spirits of the land, to honor the ways of her ancestors. But she also carried a hunger for understanding, a desire to see and learn. The strange object called to her curiosity more than her caution. As the craft settled gently into the valley below, its doors slid open with a sound that was soft yet deliberate, like a sigh. From within emerged beings unlike any Nayeli had ever seen. Their skin was pale, their features unfamiliar, yet their eyes held warmth and intelligence. They looked at the land as though they had never known a tree or a mountain, yet they moved with a confidence that suggested knowledge far beyond hers. Nayeli's heart raced. She had always heard stories from travelers and traders about people from distant lands, but this was unlike any tale. These visitors seemed almost otherworldly, but there was no fear in her chest, only fascination. She remembered the stories her grandmother had told her. The world was vast, and learning from others was the path to wisdom. Perhaps these beings held knowledge she could understand. Stepping carefully down from the ridge, Nayeli made her way closer, her movements quiet on the soft grass. The beings noticed her almost immediately. One of them, a tall figure with a gentle smile, stepped forward, extending a hand in greeting. Nayeli froze for a moment. She had never seen humans from other lands extend their hands this way, and yet she understood the gesture. It was an invitation, a gesture of peace. She took a deep breath and raised her own hand, fingers brushing the stranger's in a simple, mutual acknowledgement. I am Nayeli," she said, her voice steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. "I come from the Apache lands to the north of the Great River." The stranger tilted their head, listening intently. "Welcome, Nayeli," they said in a voice that sounded soft but strong, clear and unhurried. "I am called Elias. We mean no harm. We are travelers seeking to understand your world and perhaps to share knowledge." Nayeli's curiosity deepened. She had grown up hearing stories of people from across the seas, but none had come so close. And now here was Elias speaking of understanding, of sharing knowledge. The words resonated with her. "Your world, it is very different," she said cautiously. "Your home must be far away. How did you come to this land?" Elias glanced at the sky, then back at Nayeli. "Far away, yes. Very far. We travel by craft, moving through places you have never seen. We are explorers of life, of learning, and of connection. And we believe every world has lessons to teach us if we are willing to listen." Nayeli nodded. This was not just a story she had heard. This was real, living proof of a greater world. She felt a thrill of excitement. "I want to learn," she said softly, almost to herself. "I want to see, to understand everything you can show me." Elia's smile widened. "Then you shall have the chance, but first we must prepare. Our ways are strange, and our knowledge it is different from what you have known. You must be willing to see, to explore, and to question. Are you ready for that?" Nayeli straightened, her chin lifted with determination. "I am ready." The days that followed were unlike anything Nayeli had ever experienced. Elias and his companions showed her tools and devices that seemed magical. Glowing screens that displayed moving images, small machines that could carry objects across space, and lights that could warm the body without fire. Nayeli watched with wide eyes, learning quickly, asking questions with relentless curiosity. At first, the Apache elders were cautious. They had heard rumors of travelers from afar, but none like these. Some whispered that Nayeli was risking too much, leaving the old ways behind. But Nayeli explained carefully, I do not abandon our ways. I wish only to learn to understand. Knowledge is not a replacement for tradition. It is a gift that can help us protect it. One evening, under a sky painted with stars, Naeli asked Elias a question that had been on her mind from the start. How? How do you live? How do humans like you survive in your world? Elias' gaze softened, and he led her to a small observation deck of their craft. Beyond the glass, the horizon stretched endlessly. Cities gleamed like rivers of light, and in between, vast stretches of forests, deserts, and oceans rolled in harmony. We survive, he said slowly, through cooperation, through learning from one another, and through curiosity. We ask questions, we share answers, and we find solutions together. Every human being contributes something unique. That is what allows us to thrive. Naeli absorbed this quietly, letting the words sink into her mind. Her people survived through community, through knowledge of the land, and through courage. Yet she saw now that this other way, this broader vision of humanity, was something extraordinary. Can I learn as well?" she asked, almost in a whisper, unsure if the word was too bold. "You already are," Elias replied. "Curiosity is the first step, and there is much to see, much to experience. But remember, learning is not just about seeing or touching. It is about understanding, questioning, and applying. It will not always be easy, but it will be worth it." The craft hummed gently as the evening wind brushed past the valley. Naeli felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She was leaving behind the familiar paths of her ancestors, stepping into a world full of unknown possibilities. Yet, she felt a surge of courage. Her heart told her that this was not betrayal but growth. She could honor her people and still embrace the new. That night, as Naeli lay under the open sky, the stars blinking like distant fires, she thought about the world that awaited her. She imagined traveling to places she had only heard of in stories, touching things that seemed impossible, learning secrets of the universe that had never been whispered in the Apache lands. And yet she also thought of her home, of the rivers and mountains that cradled her people. She smiled softly. She did not have to choose between the two. She could be both, a keeper of tradition and a seeker of the stars. And so, as the first night passed and the craft rested silently in the valley, Naeli drifted into sleep with a heart full of wonder, ready for the journey that would change everything. The adventure had begun. The next morning, Naeli awoke to the soft hum of the craft. Light filtered through the translucent walls, painting the room in soft shades of blue and gold. Outside, the valley glimmered in the early sun. Birds chirped, and the wind danced through the tall grasses. But inside the craft, everything was different. Everything seemed alive and unfamiliar. Elias was already waiting at the doorway, his figure calm and welcoming. "Good morning, Naeli," he said. "Today, you will see more of what we do. You will see our world, not just the lands we travel, but the ways we learn and create." Naeli's heart leaped with excitement. She had wondered all night what lay inside the craft. What secrets did these travelers carry? What knowledge had they gathered from across the stars? She followed Elias through the corridors of the craft. The walls were smooth and glowing, responding to their touch. Screens lit up with strange symbols, and small robots moved silently, cleaning, repairing, and observing. Naeli noticed how everything seemed alive, not in the sense of spirits like the ones her people spoke of, but in the way the machines worked together, each fulfilling a purpose. "Everything here is connected," Elias explained. "We design it so that each part helps the others. Cooperation is not just for people, it extends to all we create. Even our tools learn from their environment." Naeli touched one of the glowing panels and an image appeared of distant lands, mountains taller than any she had seen, rivers wider than the longest she knew, and cities that sparkled like clusters of stars. She gasped. "Is this your home?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "No, these are places we have visited. We learn from every land, every culture, and every creature. Knowledge belongs to everyone who seeks it. Naeli felt a thrill. Her people valued knowledge, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. She wanted to see everything, understand everything. She wanted to learn how humans could travel to lands so far, how they could live in harmony with machines, how they could gather wisdom from all corners of the world. Elias led her to a larger room where dozens of similar panels formed a semicircle. "This is our library," he said. "Not like the ones you know with books and scrolls. Here, knowledge flows through images, sounds, and interactive lessons. You can explore history, science, nature, and stories from countless worlds." Naeli stepped closer and hesitated. She had read stories, studied plants and stars, and learned the ways of her people. But here she could see worlds she had never imagined. She reached out and touched a glowing panel. Immediately, a scene unfolded, a city in motion, with humans and machines working together. Naeli watched as they built bridges, harvested food, and shared ideas in ways that seemed like magic to her. How do they do this?" she asked, eyes wide. "Through cooperation and curiosity," Elias said softly. "They ask questions, solve problems together, and respect each other's strengths. That is what makes humans thrive. Curiosity leads to understanding, and understanding leads to creation." Naeli nodded slowly. She had seen cooperation in her village, the way people hunted together, shared water, taught children, and cared for the elders. But this was on a scale she had never imagined. Humans could do so much when they worked together. "Can I try?" she asked, pointing to the panel. "Of course," Elias said with a smile. "Choose something you want to understand. Anything." Naeli hesitated, then touched a panel showing plants and animals from faraway lands. Instantly, the room filled with soft images of forests, rivers, and deserts. She saw how different creatures adapted to their homes, how each plant had a purpose, and how humans had learned to live with them without destroying them. This is amazing," Naeli whispered. "It is like seeing the whole world all at once." "Yes," Elias said, "and there is much more. You can learn medicine, engineering, art, music, languages, everything humans have discovered. But remember, learning is not just seeing. It is understanding, practicing, and sharing." Naeli spent hours exploring. She learned how water could be purified using natural and mechanical methods, how wind and sunlight could provide energy, and how humans could communicate across vast distances with devices she could barely comprehend. Each new lesson filled her with wonder. She felt as though her mind had grown larger, capable of holding more than she had ever thought possible. At one point, she paused before a panel that showed humans creating art. Paintings, music, sculptures, stories. They were all ways of expressing ideas, emotions, and dreams. Naeli realized that humans were not just strong or clever, they were creators. They built, imagined, and shared beauty with the world. "I never thought humans could do this," she said softly. Elias nodded. "We can do many things, but the greatest power is not strength or speed, it is creativity, understanding, and the will to improve. That is what makes us human." As the day passed, Naeli began to ask questions of her own. She wanted to know why humans made mistakes, how they solved problems, and how they learned from failure. Elias guided her patiently, showing her examples and allowing her to experiment with tools and machines. Naeli's hands moved over devices that could map stars, clean water, and even simulate ecosystems. She watched how small changes could create big results, how one idea could ripple through a system and transform it completely. By evening, Naeli was tired but exhilarated. She had learned more in one day than she had in all her years in the village. Yet she felt no fear. The knowledge did not overwhelm her, it inspired her. She wanted to share this with her people, to bring the lessons back to the land she loved. Elias noticed her excitement and nodded approvingly. "You are ready for the next step," he said. "Tomorrow, you will learn about the humans who travel beyond your world. You will see how curiosity can take us across stars, and how humans strive to understand not just their own world, but others as well. Nayeli's eyes shone with anticipation. She had imagined traveling to distant lands before, but now she realized that the journey could be even greater, beyond mountains, rivers, and forests, beyond the sky itself. She could reach the stars. As she lay down that night, the hum of the craft like a gentle lullaby, Nayeli thought about what she had learned. Humans were not perfect, but they were brave in their curiosity, bold in their imagination, and tireless in their pursuit of knowledge. She wanted to be like them, curious, courageous, and always seeking to learn. And as sleep claimed her, Nayeli dreamed not of battles or danger, but of worlds filled with possibility, of ideas that sparkled like stars, and of a future where she could bring the wisdom of both her people and the humans she had just met together in harmony. The journey had only begun, but Nayeli already knew that she would never be the same. She had tasted the first fruits of human knowledge, and it was sweeter than anything she had ever imagined. Tomorrow the craft would move, and she would take her first steps toward the stars. The morning sunlight spilled over the valley, bright and warm, but inside the craft, Nayeli felt a different kind of excitement, one that made her heart race and her thoughts fly faster than the birds overhead. Today she would see what lay beyond her world, beyond the mountains and rivers she had always known. Today she would step toward the stars. Elias met her at the doorway, smiling warmly. "Are you ready?" he asked. Nayeli nodded, though her stomach fluttered with nervous anticipation. She had spent the last 2 days learning about the craft, the humans' knowledge, and the many ways they had shaped their world. But this journey into the unknown was a step unlike any she had taken before. "You will not be afraid," Elias said, as if reading her thoughts. "Curiosity will guide you, and remember, everything you have learned is with you now." The craft lifted smoothly from the valley. Nayeli pressed her hands against the wall, watching as the familiar land fell away beneath her. Mountains became smaller, rivers shrank to silver threads, and the forests seemed like tiny patches of green. Nayeli felt awe, but also a profound connection to the land she loved. Even as she left it behind, it remained part of her. "Do humans often travel so far?" she asked, her voice soft with wonder. "Some do," Elias replied. "Some stay close to their lands. Others travel beyond, seeking knowledge and understanding in places no one else has seen. We learn not only from what is near, but from what is distant. And the more we learn, the more we can share with others." Nayeli's mind raced. She thought of her village, of the children learning to track animals, of the elders teaching stories of the stars. She realized that even her people, with all their wisdom, could benefit from seeing the larger world. She wanted to learn, yes, but she also wanted to bring back knowledge that could help those she loved. Hours passed as the craft traveled through the sky, and soon the blue of the valley and mountains gave way to deeper, darker shades. Nayeli peered through the transparent walls and gasped. The stars were not tiny lights in the sky. They were vast, glowing orbs, each one alive with mystery. The black of space stretched endlessly, yet it was not empty. It shimmered with possibilities. Elias guided her to a new room, one that seemed larger and even stranger than the previous ones. Panels curved around the walls, displaying galaxies, planets, and celestial movements. Small, glowing machines floated in the air, adjusting, calculating, and recording. "This is the observation deck," Elias said. "Here we study not only our world but the universe beyond. We seek to understand life, creation, and the patterns that connect everything." Nayeli's eyes widened. "Life beyond our world?" "Yes," Elias said gently. "There are many worlds, many forms of life. Some we can see, some we cannot. But every world teaches us something, and every form of life has lessons we can learn if we are humble enough to listen." Nayeli felt a thrill of excitement. Her people had always told stories of the spirits of the land, of animals, rivers, and mountains. But now she saw that the universe itself was alive with lessons waiting to be discovered. Can I see one of these worlds?" she asked. Elias smiled. "Of course. Step forward." Naomi moved to the panel, and as she touched it, a small planet appeared, glowing softly. Images filled the room, forests with trees taller than any she had seen, rivers with waters that shimmered in colors she could not name, and creatures moving gracefully, some like birds, some like nothing she had ever imagined. "These creatures, they live there?" she asked. "Yes," Elias said, "and they survive through cooperation, adaptation, and creativity, just like humans. Life, wherever it exists, finds ways to grow and thrive." Naomi studied the planet carefully. She noticed patterns, the way the plants absorbed sunlight, how rivers carried nutrients, and how creatures interacted. She realized that even in worlds far from her own, certain principles remained the same: balance, curiosity, and cooperation. "I want to learn from them," she whispered. "I want to understand their ways." "You will," Elias said. "But first, you must understand that observation is only the beginning. Understanding comes from action, seeing, thinking, and applying what you learn." Over the next hours, Naomi learned to operate small exploration drones. She guided them over the glowing planet, observing the creatures, collecting information, and seeing the subtle connections between life forms. It was like nothing she had ever experienced. Every movement, every interaction, every sound had meaning, and every discovery made her heart swell with wonder. By the time the craft rested above another world, Naomi felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. She had traveled farther than anyone in her village, seen life beyond her imagining, and learned lessons that would stay with her forever. Yet she also felt a sense of responsibility. Knowledge, she realized, was not just for herself. It was meant to be shared to help others to create a better world. Elias noticed her thoughtful expression. "You have learned much today," he said, "but there is still more. Tomorrow, you will meet humans who live among the stars. You will see how they cooperate across distances, how they solve problems together, and how they create a future that balances knowledge, curiosity, and care for life." Naomi nodded, her mind racing with questions and possibilities. She felt a new kind of courage growing inside her, a courage that came from understanding, from seeing the vastness of the universe, and from knowing that humans could do extraordinary things when they worked together. As the craft glided silently through the darkness of space, Naomi looked out at the stars and thought of her home, the mountains, rivers, and people she loved. She realized that the universe was not a place to escape from her roots, but a place to expand them, to bring new wisdom back to the land she cherished. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the gentle hum of the craft beneath her. The stars outside seemed to whisper possibilities, of exploration, of understanding, and of a future shaped by courage and curiosity. Naomi's heart beat with anticipation. The journey had only begun, and already she felt that her life, and the lives of those she loved, would never be the same. Tonight, she would dream not of distant lands alone, but of worlds alive with life and ideas, of humans working together across the stars, and of the endless possibilities that awaited anyone willing to be curious, brave, and open to learning. And tomorrow, she would take her first steps into that larger world, learning not only from the stars, but from the humans who had made it their mission to understand and share knowledge across the universe. The craft drifted on, carrying Naomi toward lessons, discoveries, and adventures beyond imagination. And for the first time, she understood what it truly meant to be human, not just to survive, but to wonder, to learn, and to grow. The craft glided through the dark expanse of space, past glowing nebulae and clusters of distant stars. Naomi leaned against the transparent wall, her eyes wide with wonder. She had seen other worlds through observation panels, but now she was about to step onto one of them, a place where humans had chosen to live far from their original home. Elias led her to the airlock. "This is a human colony," he explained. "People have learned to live together in places very different from their natural world. They face challenges that test their knowledge, their cooperation, and their imagination. But they thrive because they value learning, sharing, and growth." Naomi nodded, excitement mingled with nervousness. She had traveled farther than she had ever imagined, and now she would meet humans whose lives were so different from her own. How would they live? How would they think? How would they welcome someone from a distant land like her? The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and Naomi stepped onto a platform bathed in soft light. The colony was unlike anything she had ever seen. Tall structures curved elegantly upward, their surfaces gleaming with reflective panels. Gardens floated in small green bubbles, and streams of water ran along transparent tubes. Humans moved gracefully through the colony, tending gardens, working with machines, and interacting with small robots that assisted them in every task. One of the humans, a woman with kind eyes and quick movements, approached Naomi. "Welcome," she said warmly. "I am Mara." "You must be Naomi. Elias has told us you are curious and eager to learn." Naomi smiled, feeling a wave of relief. "Yes," she said. "I want to see to understand everything I can." Mara nodded. "Then come with me, there is much to explore." Naomi followed Mara through the colony, marveling at how humans had adapted to living in a place so different from their original world. Water was recycled and purified, food was grown in vertical gardens, and energy flowed seamlessly through glowing conduits. Everything seemed balanced, efficient, and full of purpose. "These humans have learned to work together," Elias explained softly as they walked. "They share knowledge, plan together, and respect each other's strengths. That is why they can thrive even in a place far from home." Naomi noticed children playing in a garden dome, their laughter echoing in the enclosed space. They moved freely, learning from the environment around them, observing the plants and small creatures that lived there, and experimenting with small machines that helped them understand the world. Naomi felt a deep admiration. The future she had glimpsed in the craft was alive here, in the curiosity and cooperation of these children. Mara led Naomi to a central chamber where humans were gathered around large tables. Panels displayed maps of distant worlds, simulations of ecosystems, and lessons about physics, biology, and art. Naomi watched as humans shared ideas, debated solutions, and built new models. "This is where we learn together," Mara said. "Knowledge is not kept by one person, it belongs to everyone. We teach, we listen, and we create. And we make mistakes, but we learn from them together." Naomi's mind raced. In her village, knowledge was shared through stories and teaching, but here, learning had grown into a living, breathing system. Humans were not just surviving, they were creating a future where knowledge and cooperation guided every action. She asked Mara, "Do you ever face problems that you cannot solve?" Mara smiled. "Yes, every day, but problems are opportunities. We work together, test ideas, and sometimes we fail. But each failure teaches us something new. That is the way humans grow." Naomi thought of her people, of the challenges they faced with weather, animals, and the changing land. She realized that human ingenuity could help them solve problems in ways she had never imagined. But more importantly, she understood that learning and cooperation were the keys to overcoming any obstacle. For the rest of the day, Naomi explored the colony. She learned how humans grew food in zero gravity, how they created energy-efficient machines, and how they designed their living spaces to encourage curiosity and creativity. She observed art studios where humans painted, sculpted, and composed music that reflected the beauty of their environment. She watched simulations where humans tested ways to protect distant planets and ecosystems. At each step, Naomi asked questions and tried new things. She built small machines, adjusted energy flows, and even helped program simple robots to perform tasks. Each success filled her with pride, and each mistake taught her patience and persistence. She realized that learning was not about never failing. It was about trying, observing, and improving. As evening approached in the colony, Nayeli joined a group of humans sitting in a circular chamber. They shared stories of their lives, of the challenges they had overcome, and of the lessons they had learned from distant worlds. Nayeli listened closely, absorbing their wisdom, and shared stories of her people, of the Apache lands, the mountains, rivers, and traditions she cherished. The humans listened with respect and curiosity. Nayeli realized that true learning was not just about machines or knowledge. It was about understanding people, their values, and their ways of life. "Your people have wisdom we can learn from," Mara said gently. "We may have traveled far, but there is much to learn from those who understand the land and its rhythms. Curiosity is not just about looking outward. It is about seeing what others know and combining it with what you discover." Nayeli felt a sense of connection. She was far from home, but she was not alone. Humans, wherever they lived, shared a bond of curiosity, cooperation, and respect for knowledge. She realized that being human meant more than surviving. It meant learning, creating, and growing together. That night, Nayeli looked out at the colony from a high platform. The stars glimmered above, and the colony below glowed softly, alive with energy and life. She felt a deep gratitude for the journey she had begun, for the humans who had welcomed her, and for the lessons she was learning. She thought of her village, of the people she loved, and of the knowledge she would bring back. The universe was vast, full of wonders and possibilities, but it was also full of lessons that could help all humans thrive, no matter where they lived. Elias joined her on the platform. "Tomorrow, you will begin to apply what you have learned," he said. "You will face challenges that will test your curiosity, your patience, and your creativity. But remember, you are not alone. Knowledge, cooperation, and courage will guide you." Nayeli nodded. She felt ready. She had learned to observe, to question, to experiment, and to listen. She had seen humans thrive in ways she had never imagined, and she knew that she could take these lessons back to her people, helping them grow without losing the traditions and wisdom of their ancestors. As she lay down to rest, the colony humming gently around her, Nayeli's mind swirled with ideas and possibilities. She dreamed not of conquest or power, but of learning, creating, and connecting. She dreamed of a future where humans, no matter where they lived, could grow together, share knowledge, and build a world full of curiosity and wonder. And she knew, deep in her heart, that the journey was far from over. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new discoveries, and new opportunities to see what it truly meant to be human. The stars outside twinkled like distant fires, guiding her dreams, and the craft hummed softly, carrying her toward a future she was ready to embrace. Nayeli closed her eyes, feeling the courage and curiosity within her, knowing that she was learning not only to understand the universe but also to understand herself, and what it truly meant to be human. The craft descended slowly toward the valley, its engines humming softly. Almost like a lullaby, Nayeli pressed her hands against the glowing wall, watching the familiar mountains, rivers, and forests grow larger as they approached. Everything she had seen in space, the stars, distant worlds, and human colonies, was now behind her, but the lessons they had taught her were alive inside her mind and heart. Elias approached her quietly. "Are you ready to return?" he asked. Nayeli nodded. "Yes. I have learned much, and now I want to share it with my people. I want them to see the world as I have, to understand what humans can achieve when they are curious, cooperative, and creative." Elias smiled. "Then your journey is not over. Knowledge is strongest when it is shared. Remember, you carry not only what you have seen but the spirit of learning itself." As the craft landed softly in the valley, Nayeli felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had changed, and she knew her people might be cautious or surprised. But she also knew that knowledge, when shared with respect and care, could grow a community stronger than fear. The village elders approached as she stepped from the craft. Their eyes were wide with wonder at the strange machines and glowing panels, at the unusual tools that Naeli carried, and at the stories of the skies and stars she began to tell. "Where have you been, Naeli?" one elder asked gently. "What have you seen?" Naeli smiled. "I have traveled far, beyond our mountains, beyond our rivers, even beyond the stars. I have met humans who live in strange lands and distant worlds. I have learned how they cooperate, how they share knowledge, and how they use creativity to solve problems. I want to share these lessons with you, so we can grow together without losing the wisdom of our ancestors." The elders listened closely as Naeli described the craft, the human colonies, and the many lessons she had learned. She showed them how humans grew food efficiently, managed energy, and worked together to overcome challenges. She demonstrated small machines that could help clean water and improve farming, and she shared stories of humans learning from each other and from other worlds. The villagers were amazed. Some were curious, eager to try new ideas. Others were cautious, unsure how these distant lessons could fit with their traditional ways. But Naeli spoke with patience and clarity, showing them that learning did not mean abandoning their roots. It meant growing stronger, building on the wisdom of the past while embracing the knowledge of the future. "You see," Naeli said, pointing to the glowing panel she had brought, "humans thrive not because they are stronger or faster, but because they are curious, cooperative, and creative. They ask questions, experiment, and share what they learn. That is why they can achieve things that seem impossible." A young boy stepped forward. "Can we try, Naeli? Can we learn like that too?" Naeli's heart swelled. "Yes," she said warmly. "We can start small. We can experiment, work together, and share what we discover. Curiosity is our first step, and cooperation is our path forward." Over the next weeks, Naeli guided the villagers in new ways of learning and problem-solving. They built small devices to help carry water more efficiently, experimented with planting techniques that improved harvests, and created simple tools that made daily tasks easier. But they also shared stories, songs, and traditions, ensuring that their roots remained strong even as they embraced new knowledge. One evening, Naeli stood atop a small ridge, watching the sun set over the valley. She thought about the human colonies among the stars, the creatures of distant worlds, and the lessons of cooperation and curiosity. She realized that what she had learned was not just about machines or technology. It was about being human, observing, asking questions, experimenting, sharing, and growing together. The villagers gathered around her, eager to share their discoveries. They had begun to understand the lessons she brought back, not as magic, but as tools for life, knowledge, and growth. Naeli felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had traveled far, learned from distant humans, and brought back something that could help her people thrive without losing their identity. Elias approached her once more, his expression proud. "You have done well, Naeli. You have not only learned, but you have shared what you learned. That is the true measure of wisdom." Naeli nodded, her gaze on the village below. "I have learned that knowledge is powerful only when it is shared. Curiosity can take us far, but cooperation and understanding make us strong." As night fell over the valley, the stars twinkled above, just as they had in the craft and the colonies she had visited. Naeli looked up and felt a deep connection, not only to the universe, but to her people, her ancestors, and the humans she had met among the stars. She realized that humanity was not confined to one place, one culture, or one way of living. It was defined by the courage to explore, the curiosity to learn, and the willingness to grow together. The villagers sat around a small fire, listening to Naeli tell stories of the stars and the lessons she had learned. Children laughed, imagining worlds they had never seen. Elders nodded, seeing wisdom that complemented their own knowledge. And Naeli knew that this was just the beginning, the first step of a journey that would continue for generations. She thought of the humans she had met in the colonies and of the creatures on distant worlds. She realized that learning and understanding could cross any distance, overcome any difference, and bring people together in ways that made life richer and fuller. And as the fire burned softly and the stars shone above, Nayeli made a silent promise to herself to continue learning, to continue asking questions, and to continue sharing the lessons of curiosity, cooperation, and creativity with everyone she met. She understood now that being human was not about where one lived, but about how one thought, acted, and grew. The valley was quiet, the wind rustling gently through the trees, and Nayeli felt a deep sense of peace. She had traveled to the stars and back, learned from humans and creatures beyond her imagination, and returned with the knowledge that could help her people thrive. She had seen what it truly meant to be human, and she was ready to live it. As sleep overtook her that night, Nayeli dreamed not only of distant worlds and the humans she had met, but of her village, her people, and the endless possibilities that awaited when curiosity and cooperation guided every action. The journey had ended, but the adventure of learning, growing, and creating had only just begun. Nayeli knew that as long as humans continued to be curious, brave, and cooperative, there would always be new worlds to explore, new lessons to learn, and new ways to thrive together. And with that thought, she slept peacefully, the stars above shining like beacons of possibility, guiding her, her people, and humanity toward a brighter, wiser future.